Hey, courageous school leaders. Welcome to Lead Beyond Limits, the space where school leaders like you gain unfiltered insights from educators, uncover the hidden barriers holding your staff back, and get practical strategies to lead with confidence. If you're ready to tackle the real challenges in your schools and create the clarity your team needs to thrive, you're in the right place. Let's dive in and get to work.
Hey, courageous school leaders. Dr. Demia here. It is a marvelous Monday, even though it's gray outside, it's still a marvelous Monday. I hope that you all are enjoying this day. This is the last day of school for some districts. Some districts have been closed already for the summer break. And I hope that you are taking some time to reflect on your year and really thinking about planning moving forward. So let's get into it, y'all. I hope y'all are doing okay. Welcome back. For those of you who are new here, this is Lead Beyond Limits, the space where we move past surface level fixes and lean into systems, because that's what this is about. Leaning into systems of thinking, clarity, and strategy that transforms your school and your leadership practice from the inside out. Okay. I am Dr. Demia Thomas. I have been in education been a while now, since 1993, and in leadership for almost 2 decades. So I have dived into this AI world and have taken it by the horns and am sharing the practices with you in this series that we're doing today. So if you're joining us for the final part of this series, it was a 4-part series called From Pilot to Power Move. You already know that AI isn't just about tools. If you haven't seen the first 3 parts, please go back and check it out. I'm on YouTube, and also you can check it on the LinkedIn page where they have been posted. So we know that AI isn't just about tools, it's about leadership when used strategically. So today's final part, today's episode is titled, What Real AI Leadership Looks Like in Schools, period, right? It's not about what button you need to press or what tool you need to try. You know, we're often, as school leaders, receiving emails about different tools. It's about how you, as a leader, are showing up. Calm in the storm, future ready, and confident that the culture that you're building can hold innovation without burning people out, right? And that is the big piece there, is not pushing people over the edge. I had to learn that really quickly, and luckily I had a team who was able to help me see that in a really big way. So right now, if you have your Clarity and Confidence Reflection Guide, I need you to grab that. If you do not have it, send me a message and I'll send you the link. It's absolutely free. And it's a space where you can collect your thoughts, write your notes, and it's applicable for every Lead Beyond Limits episode that you see. It's just a space to capture your notes and future planning. Okay. So grab your Clarity and Confidence Reflection Guide now. We're going to walk through a new leadership lens that reframes AI, excuse me, from a trend to a system. I still have this lingering cough that I can't seem to get rid of from my lung thing. Anyway, pardon the coughs in between. So let's take a look at thinking about AI, replacing the thought of it being an actual tool to actually operating as a system. So let's start with a truth, right? AI integration fails when it becomes a compliance checkbox. Everyone use this by Friday, right? That's a compliance statement. But real leadership comes when real leadership means you are helping your team understand the why and build systems that outlast all the hype, right? Because the hype is going to disappear, right? The why and building systems is the how, right? Because a lot of times we're connected to our why. We know the reason why, but we just don't know how. The system is what's going to help understand the how, right? So here's the mindset shift. Don't lead with tools, right? I need you to consider leading with systems. And system is the framework we're exploring today, right? It's an acronym that is going to help you remember how to integrate AI in a very impactful way, right? Not a step-by-step plan, but a lens, okay? A mindset, a guide for decision making. So system stands for, S stands for standards first. And the reason why this is so important, I'm going to go through all of them in a minute. So let me just go through the letters. System stands for standards first thinking. Y is yield to academic access. S, scaffold with intelligence. T, translate feedback into growth. E, elevate planning conversations. M, measure for meaning. Okay, so let's break this down, each one. This is how we're going to move from experimenting with AI, right? Like a lot of leaders that I've come across now are saying, yeah, I use AI for this, that, or whatever, right? But to move from experimenting with AI to embedding it in the bones of how your teachers will teach and how you lead and serve is huge. So let's unpack system, right? And not just having a system, but the acronym system. Let's unpack that. Let's break it down as a leadership role. So S, standards first thinking. AI isn't just for automating administrative tasks, right? Which is what I hear a lot of leaders doing, which is great because it can help save so much time, right? But AI is also, it can actually help break down grade level standards into bite-sized skills, clarifying what students must know and do. So let me pause here for a second, because in my experience as a school leader and working with school leaders and having colleagues who are school leaders and friends who are school leaders, the biggest hurdle we've gone through and that you go through is your teachers truly understanding the standards in a really deep and meaningful way. That is always the challenge, always has been the challenge, right? Because a lot of times we just get curriculum and teachers just teach the curriculum, but they really understand the standards in a way that they know what students must know and do in order to meet a standard, right? That's why I fully encourage people to use the looking at student work protocol, because it helps teachers unpack the standards and learn about them more. But now AI is a great tool to help educators, teachers learn about the standards on a deeper level, right? It can help break down the grade level standards into bite-sized skills, which is honestly very challenging to do, right? So leaders, you can guide teachers to use AI to reword complex standards for deeper planning, right? And this is something I'm going to actually dig into at the Virginia Elementary School Principals Conference coming up next Monday in Virginia Beach. My workshop is actually going to show school leaders how they can break down the standards and use AI as a tool so that they can go back and show it to their teachers, right? So leaders, you can guide teachers to reword complex standards for deeper meaning, right? Chunking the understanding. You can also use it to generate aligned questions, scaffolds, exemplars. It's an absolutely powerful tool and a powerful way for your teachers to learn more about the standards and what it's actually asking students to do. And at the same time, it is building teachers' confidence, right? Because we know teachers meet with frustration because they do all this planning, they do all this replanning and it feels like students are not moving, like the needle's not moving, this AI can really help teachers build their confidence in that, right? So standards first, right? You see educational standards here. That should lead and guide everything that you do. And we know this, right? So standards first thinking is the first S. Yield to academic success. So once you do your standards first thinking, now you need to yield to academic success. And this is meeting kids where they are, isn't lowering the expectations, because I hear that a lot. This is really about increasing access. How are we getting kids to access the curriculum, the standard, not the curriculum, the standard, in a way that moves the needle for them and deepens their understanding? AI can do a couple of things, right? It can offer modified text without watering down the content. It can suggest strategies for supporting multilingual learners while staying grade level aligned. It really all depends on the prompt, the effectiveness of the prompt that you put in the tool. Okay? Imagine the power behind that. So that's yielding to academic access, right? Making sure that students have access without sacrificing the grade level standards. AI can help break that down. That's the Y. The second S in system is scaffold with intelligence. So once you do the standards first, you make sure students have access. Now you need to scaffold with intelligence. So teachers struggle with adapting lessons for readiness levels. So you can now show AI, you can now show how AI can build support within a lesson, not as an add-on, but within the lesson. So you can try prompts like create tiered supports for this 8th grade science objective. You can even be more specific and say that you have a student who's on an IEP and it gets these supports. Create a, how do I cater this lesson or adapt this lesson for this student? You can try another one, offer scaffolds. You can type in offer scaffolds that maintain rigor for diverse readers based on this lesson. Right? You have to give it the information and then you give it the prompts. I want to be clear about that. You can't just put the prompt in without the information there. Let me be clear. Okay. So if you're scaffolding with intelligence, you're taking the information that the lesson is telling the teacher that they must use, right? Like the standard that they must use and the way in which they're doing it, but also adapting it and asking AI how you can still maintain that, like aligned to that standard, making sure that students can access it, right? What do the tier supports look like? So that is the second S in system. The T is to translate feedback into growth, right? You see how these arrows are pointing, each one has to come before the other. You can't skip it. So in this flow, the T is translating feedback into growth, whether it's for you as a school leader, whether it's walkthrough notes or PD, or like results from PD surveys or, culture climate surveys. You can run qualitative data through AI and get coaching cues aligned to standards, right? Not just learning standards, but what are the standards for you as a school leader? Like I know some districts actually have standards for schools, and you could put those standards in there and put the data in to see how it's aligned to the standard as a school leader or for your state and under leadership. Okay. So I want to be clear about this though, right? Like AI is not the decision maker. You are the decision maker, right? But it does help surface what's invisible. And those invisible things are things like emotional tone, common gaps that would take you a longer to decipher, right? Feedback themes, which I believe I've gone through in a couple of episodes back, and I actually do that in my free AI masterclass. I talk about that much on a deeper level. So that is the T. Once you scaffold the intelligence, now as a school leader, you can translate the feedback into growth. This is the data. This is what it says. How can we grow from this point to that point, right? The E in system is now you're going to elevate planning conversations. This is so powerful because now you've collected this data, this qualitative data, and you've gotten these themes and when it comes to instruction, right? Because we're really talking about instruction right now. You can, this information can help you elevate your planning conversations with your teachers, right? So move from did you plan to how did you ensure access to this standard, right? Those are the questions that you should be asking your instructional staff. How did you ensure access to this standard? So AI can model how to backward map from standards. I remember at the beginning of the year, we would take the standards and look at the curriculum and align them to match them up and then figure out what we needed to work on, like backward map, to make sure that all the standards that would be tested were covered, right? Omitting the ones that weren't tested. Why? If they're not being tested, unfortunately, we live by the test. It really shouldn't be like that. I truly believe we should have performance-based standards and not taking tests. It should be performance-based, but that's another whole topic that I'll get into later. But AI can model how to backward map standards. It can also model questions to use during PLCs to help deepen conversations among your staff, right? And then you can model how to use AI, which I've talked about in previous sessions. You can model how to use AI to understand the contents on the content standards, learning standards on a deeper level for your staff. So they can do that too. So they can really be engaged in the conversation, right? As you're engaging in the planning conversations with them. So that's E. M. So now we've done the standards first thinking, yielding to academic access, scaffolding with intelligence, translating feedback into growth, elevating planning conversations to help elevate planning conversations. And that's going to lead to what we all want: meaningful education outcomes, right? But the thing about this part is we need to measure for meaning, right? So you can measure educational outcomes here as well. We measure what matters, but are we measuring what we taught? Like, that's the real question. So using AI to align assessments to your standards it saves so much time, right? And it allows you to check for a couple of things. When you're using AI to align your assessments to your standards, you can check for things like the actual depth of the question. You can check for skill alignment, making sure that the skills students are using are being pulled out with this question, right? And instructional match. Does it match? Does the question match the standard? So the system, SYSTEM as an acronym, this is a lens, okay? It doesn't just add clarity, it actually adds coherence when you think about it in this way. What's always the standard? How are we yielding to academic access How does AI help you as a leader yield to academic access, right? Scaffolding with intelligence, translating feedback into growth, elevating planning conversations, and then meaningful educational outcomes, or measure educational outcomes, right? Think of it as a coherence map. So here's the emotional intelligence piece. I want to go back for a second because I did mention about emotional tones, but I also want to mention, lift up the fact that as a school leader, your EQ is critical as a school leader, right, for the success of your school. So here's the emotional intelligence piece. AI doesn't lead people. You do. You lead people. So when staff are unsure, or if they're feeling overwhelmed about what they're doing, your job as a leader is to translate the vision that you have into manageable next steps. It's important that you normalize discomfort as a part of the process, right? It's okay to be uncomfortable. In that discomfort is where you're going to grow, right? And that should be something that you are communicating to your staff consistently so they know that when you're feeling uncomfortable, it's okay. We all are. We're all growing. And then you anchoring every move in mission is what should be your focus. Like, what is the mission? What is our mission as a school? Not mandates. And very often we get confused with that because of the trickle-down effect that happens from the district that comes into the school. We feel like we're checking boxes. So as a leader, your job is to make sure that you're anchoring every move, every decision that is made based on what is our mission? Is this meeting our mission about kids? Not mandates. Those go out the window. Okay. Real AI leadership. It's saying, I'm not asking you to know everything. I'm asking you to be willing to explore how AI can help our kids. So again, this means for a lot of people, because I just heard it today, how uncomfortable people are with AI and how they don't trust it. And I get it. I completely get it. I firmly believe that it is better for us to be a part of how we are using it, a part of the solution, because if we ignore it, it's not going anywhere. It's going to move at such a exponentially fast at a point where you may not be able to catch up if you're not a part of the conversation right now. Okay, so that idea of exploring, and a way that you can actually have this conversation with your staff is, a part of our role as educators is to spark curiosity in our students, which is why I believe performance-based assessments should be the way to go instead of standardized tests. But our job is to spark curiosity. Once we spark curiosity, that is the thing that makes us want to learn more, because we have questions about the world. We have questions about things that we see, that we hear, that we smell. Like, that curiosity is what pushes our students to excel. And so that same curiosity that we want our students to have as educators, we should have it too. And so that can be a stance that you take when you're speaking to your staff around this pushback with AI is, again, I'm not asking you to know everything. I'm just asking you to be willing to explore how this can help our kids, right? And how this can help you in terms of planning and really moving the needle with your students. So, when you think about it, that's influence, that's trust, right? That's the emotional piece as a leader. So right now, I want you to open your clarity and confidence reflection guide. And let's think through your next step. Okay. I want you to journal on which part of the system, SYSTEM as an acronym, which part of that lens most aligns to a current goal in your school. Okay, which part of the system acronym most aligns to a current goal in your school? I also want you to reflect on what part needs more attention or alignment. Let me show it again so you can see. What part needs more attention or alignment? And then the third question for you to reflect on today is, who can champion this shift for you? Now, mind you, as the leader, you need to be at the forefront, but you should also have your team walking this walk with you so that you are speaking the same language. Remember, one band, one sound. This isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right thing and doing it consistently. Consistently. Okay? So let's land this plane. Well, before we land the plane, if you're watching the replay, tell me what your thoughts are right now. What are you thinking about in terms of using the standards to learn the standards on a deeper level, you and your staff, using AI to do that? So tell me what your thoughts are with that. And I'd love to hear your suggestions or anything that you have done in relation to AI and learning standards. Please start the conversation, okay? So now we're going to land this plane, okay? If today lit a fire and you're ready to go deeper, I am considering hosting a 60-minute workshop, AI plus instructional equity, what nobody's saying, but you need to know, right? Really going deep. So in this session, we dig into using AI to bridge access without losing rigor. We'll go into creating lesson plans that meet students where they are. And we'll also address bias, ethics, and some real world concerns that are popping up right now with AI. I follow the AI trends and get reports every morning about different AI platforms and what's changing with them. And there are a lot of things that are going on that people don't know about behind the scenes, but I stay in tune with and updated with AI, the AI shifts that are happening. So the information in this workshop will be the most up-to-date one, because I even when I do my masterclass, I'm providing more up-to-date information from the previous one. The next masterclass is going to be in July. I'll share the date below if you're interested. Just DM me masterclass. But if you are interested in a workshop like that, AI plus instructional equity, what nobody's saying, but you need to know. If you would like to attend the workshop, comment equity AI below, right? I'm going to create a poll as well to see. If I get about 25 people who say that they're interested, 20 people who say they're interested, then I'll have the workshop. So yeah, comment equity AI below or direct message me, and I will create a poll. And keep in mind, courageous leaders, that leadership isn't about having the perfect system. That's not what it's about. It's about being brave enough, right, to build one. Brave enough to build one that actually reflects what students really, really need. Students, what students need. That's the North Star, students, right? So stay bold, stay clear, stay committed, and as always, keep leading beyond limits. Until next time, have a great evening.